Divine greetings and gratitude. Welcome to the Saiyonan archives. If you are new here, my name is Nuna. I am the poet, the writer, the witch, the wise woman, the oracle, the sage of the archives, and the keeper of the archives. Welcome to your new spiritual safe haven. And if you are returning, hey fam, hey tribe, welcome back to our sacred space. I'm always honored, excited, and elated to be in your presence. I'm going to be doing a reading focusing on the shadow divine feminine and or whatever messages comes through for our soul tribe. Thank you so much for spending some more time with me here today. I really do appreciate love your presence, and I do honor you in the most divine ways. If you are subscribed to the weekly newsletter, make sure that you check your emails because I've already sent out some updates that you guys needed for the moment coming from me. So again, just go ahead and make sure that you check your emails or whatnot because I sent them out about, I want to say a few moments ago, maybe about 20-30 minutes ago, maybe. Don't know exactly what timing it was, but it was a little while ago. I also wanted to let you know that for those of you that reserved the essentials, the ancestor honor and veneration candle and oil, they will be sent out soon. So yes, and for those of you that were requesting them, I do have some available. Once you do reserve your essentials, I'll make sure to get on that ASAP. I already have the herbs and whatnot that are ready to be put into the candles, but I will not do anything until I get the okay. So make sure that you check with me or let me know when you're ready by reserving your essentials, and I'll make sure to get that out as soon as possible. Of course, according with divine timing, make sure that you set your intentions and whatnot in the custom field text and whatnot. So yes, I wanted to make sure that I at least give that update first. And yes, also remember that you guys can also take a book on the way out, reserve a book on the way out. I know that you guys really do appreciate love the essentials, which I'm super happy for. Let's just not forget about the poetry. You're not obligated to do anything, but it will be greatly appreciated if you could support by reserving a book. I'll make sure to sign it and give a mini tarot reading with a few sentences maybe, or a few words with the cards that I pull, and I'll make sure to put that in your book. So anyway, I just wanted to get that out of the way before we get into the reading. And assuming that you have not skipped, thank you for listening. I super appreciate that. Today we're going to be working with, I think it's called the Tarot of Traditions. So that's this deck here. We're also going to be working with, I believe it's called the Sacred Forest Oracle, as well as this Oracle deck here, Angels, Gods, Goddesses. That's this deck here, Sacred Forest and Tarot Traditions deck. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So thank you so much, Divine, for your divine love and your benevolent protection. Thank you so much for allowing me to be the one that relays any messages that our soul tribe needs to hear. Thank you so much for all divine interruptions, because maybe they are not interruptions. Perhaps they are just messages that I forgot to turn down. So thank you so much, Divine Source Mother, for your patience and your love and your dedication to experiencing yourselves through us. Thank you so much for protecting the space, protecting the Saiyonan circle. Thank you so much for allowing me to be the vessel that relays any messages that our soul tribe needs to hear. May these messages be timeless. May my soul tribe receive what they need. May they reserve what they do not need as a gift for someone else to receive along their path of remembrance. It is so. Okay, you guys, so let's go ahead and get started. So basically the first card that I want to kind of talk about is the High Priestess. And it's interesting because I haven't started shuffling yet, but I find this to be very significant. And the reason is because we are 100% talking about or focusing on the shadow divine feminine. The shadow divine feminine, for those of you guys that don't know, or if you are not familiar with the shadow divine feminine, it's really just my own way of saying the dark divine feminine or the divine dark feminine. It's really the same exact thing. I really don't like to just separate or compartmentalize the divine feminine because the divine feminine just is. But I do like to pay attention to the aspects of divine feminine that speak the loudest at certain moments in time. So in this instance, we're speaking about the shadow divine feminine, which is the part of us, our divine femininity that wants safety, that lusts, that will rage, that will destroy for the sake of rebirth, that is very protective, that requires in some instances softness and things of that nature, nurturing, reverence, devotion, and things of that nature. And in this instance, we do have here the high priestess. Now the high priestess does point to the energy of secrecy. It also does point to energy of silence. It points to ritual. It points to ceremony. It also points to being reserved and devoted to divine wisdom, to divine knowledge, and implementing it in the most divinely feminine way. It is the conduit between the material realm and the intangible realm, and it is the one that uses its intuition. It's the intuitive aspect of us that can discern what is true, what is from the divine, and what is outside of it, if that makes sense. So the fact that the divine feminine is showing up in the form of the high priestess, this to me is making me feel like there's something that someone may not be saying right now. There's something that someone may need to pay attention to, and there's this element of holding back and not saying much at the moment and just simply observing without the need to be aggressive, without the need to pounce, without the need to attack. And with this, I'm getting a feeling, I'm getting the feeling of a black jaguar or black panther. And I'm getting a feeling of, I just heard like the word night walker. Like this is pointing me to big cat energy, but cats of the underworld. So we're talking jaguars, specifically the black jaguar, or any type of like nocturnal being that is a part of the underworld. Also, alligators and crocodiles are coming through. Of course it would, because these are all elements dealing with the divine feminine, the shadow aspect of the divine feminine specifically, and navigating these murky waters, navigating the darkness, and understanding that it's not anything to fear, but rather it's things to surrender to. It's the element or the aspect that we surrender to receive divine knowing. So there's this aspect of surrender and navigating through this darkness and understanding that it's not anything that's evil. It's more so a matter of what we find and what is revealed through our subconscious. So this does point to the subconscious aspect, and I do feel like there's some things that your subconscious, because this card is a card of the subconscious and the shadow. In some instances, really, it's the subconscious, it's the intuition, and it does connect to Pisces. So it's some of those things that we have lingering within our subconscious that may be coming up. It could come up in certain conversations. It could come up in the way that you interact with people. It could come up in these feelings and emotions that you may feel are irrational, or that people may dismiss as irrational, right? But one thing that I do want to point out is that just because something is irrational does not mean that that is not important, or it doesn't mean that there is no truth to it. When we say things that are irrational, it's more than likely things that are not concrete and not logically expressed. It is irrational, and even though irrationality is one thing, it doesn't mean that it doesn't make sense. It just means that it's something usually that people can't put words to, but it makes sense when you feel it. Does that make sense? I hope that I'm not confusing anyone. So this is one of those things where Spirit is saying is that I really want you to honor what you feel. I really want you to honor what you know the divine truth is, without second guessing what you're feeling coming through your intuition. This is you bypassing all I just heard bypassing subconscious blocks, or like bypassing anything that tells you that that your intuition is wrong. Spirit is calling you to trust your intuition. Spirit, what else do you have to say about the high priestess here? Okay. So you have the King of Pentacles here. You have the Ace of Swords, which makes a lot of sense. And you also have the Hierophant. You also have here, oh, wow. The divine feminine is absolutely present, like so strongly. You also have the Empress here. I just heard be provided for. So someone here wants to be provided for. And you have the Nine of Cups here that's as well. You have the Lover's card. I just heard holy matrimony for some people. You have the Seven of Swords here. Spirit, can you please explain the Seven of Swords? Oh, the Fool. Oh, and the World? Goodness. Okay. And I'm also going to put this card down too. Wow. Speaking of Jaguar energy. Oh my goodness. Divine Feminine. Okay. These cards are speaking very loudly and very clear. So here you have, let me zoom out. I'm sorry about that. Let me zoom out. Okay. So after zooming out, let's move these cards over to the side, because I really want to focus deeply on Divine Feminine here. So I'm going to put this over here, and we're going to put this right here. You have some really strong divine feminine archetypes, and I'm not surprised actually to see this, because usually when divine feminine speaks, it, to me, it speaks very loudly. At least I could pick up on it, because obviously being an intuitive, it makes sense that I would, right? That we would, because of course, if you're here, chances are that you are also intuitive. So basically, you have the Nine of Swords, the Queen of Wands, the High Priestess, the Empress, the Nine of Cups. You have the Seven of Swords. You have the King of Pentacles, the Four of Cups, the Ace of Swords. You have the Lovers, the Hierophant, the Fool, the World card. When I asked Spirit to explain the Seven of Swords, you got the Fool, you got the World. And also you got the Nine of Swords. So let me go ahead and put this over here. So essentially what I see from Divine Feminine is that you're at a space in your life right now where you are truly called to discern what you need, discern your needs, your wants, your desires from that of others. And I say that because Spirit is reminding you that what you want and what you need is not always synonymous with the needs of other people. You have your needs, your desires, your wants, your wishes that have nothing to do with other people, and that is okay. Spirit is saying is that there's some type of truth and some type of clarity about Divine Feminine that is going to be revealed right now. And Spirit is asking for you not to be afraid of the exposure that comes with you expressing your needs, your wants, and your desires, but rather embrace it and allow yourself to come out and allow other people to move these things for you so that you can focus on the things that you need to focus on, whether it be your spiritual development, your intuitive development, which I am definitely here for that if you need it. If you do need to spend some one-on-one time with me, I am available for that. Make sure that you check any links down in the description box or in the comment section, because I do have links available where we can work one-on-one together for your own intuitive development. And from what I'm seeing here also is that there's this need to be uncompromising about the things that you are needing and not be afraid to speak up and share and express the things that you do need. The Nine of Cups here is pointing me to not only desire, but it's pointing me to the things that you may keep to yourself out of the fear that someone else won't be able to fulfill it, or out of the fear that what you want is too much and it's too great. And Spirit is saying is that your wants, your needs, your desires are not too great. If anything, they are direct reflections of, or they are direct signals of what I'm here to experience. So when you deny yourself these things, when you don't speak up about the things that you want, that you know to be true for you, right? Not only do you eliminate or block the need for, not block the need, but not only do you block your ability to receive healing or to experience healing, you also block your right to experience things outside of ritual. It's so interesting that that's coming through, which is so funny, because these three cards together, especially the Queen of Wands, the High Priestess, and the Empress, it's like, it's the energy that is all about ritual. But there's something about you enjoying yourself also, actually, is what I'm hearing. Like you enjoying yourself in the process of ritual, you enjoying yourself and allowing yourself to show your softer side is what I'm hearing. Because I don't know why, but I'm seeing like a black cat, but I'm also, of course I would, because of the Queen of Wands. But no, I'm literally getting a vision of a black cat, but this black cat is so tamed. And this is where I'm going to be a little different, and people may feel different about this. I'm not really sure who else relates to this, but when it comes to black cats, I see them as little jaguars. I see them as little panthers, like little panthers walking around, and I say that because of the deep mystery associated with black cats. And even though they were feared back in the day by people, I don't know why I'm hearing like Friday the 13th, which will make sense because that is about the Divine Feminine. So you may have been seeing the number 13 recently, 1313. You may have been seeing numbers like 1111. Probably it's more than likely because you're not only awakening, but you're noticing the patterns and the rhythms of the universe. So the fact that I'm seeing this black cat here, black cats used to be considered, depending on who's saying it, were considered bad omens, right? They were considered the witches, not the witch's advocate, but they were considered like the animals of for witches and whatnot. I feel like they are divine messengers and protectors of divine feminine energy, and they also represent our ability to be not domesticated, but our ability to domesticate ourselves when we don't need to pounce, to when we don't need to be aggressive, when we're not in our destructive phase. So this is giving me domestication type of vibe. I don't know if you're wanting to adopt a black cat or if you're looking to get a black cat, but I do see you receiving a black cat soon. I don't know why I feel like someone's receiving a black cat. I want to use my discernment and say that because I do pray for discernment, and I do set the intention for discernment to know what is for myself and what is for my tribe. This could be for me. I'm going to let that be known honestly, because sometimes spirit will use the readings that I do for other people to get messages across to me, because I have a hard time. Sometimes I have a hard time listening, and I can be a little hard-headed. That's the dilemma of being Capricorn energy. I can be a little hard-headed at times, and I tend to do things where I'm just like, no, this is not for me. It's never about me. And it's like spirit is like, okay, since you want to be that way, I'm gonna get the message across to you regardless. So sometimes the divine will definitely use readings that I'm doing for other people, for the collective to get across to me. So thank you, spirit, for that differentiation, and thank you for that discernment. Or this could also simply be you coming across a black cat, or maybe you've been having visions of black cats. Maybe you've seen one. Maybe there's one in your neighborhood. Maybe you've been seeing ravens. Maybe you've been seeing crows. Who knows? What I do know is that there's something about you embracing the mystery and you allowing your mystery to be shared, to be seen. And that's what makes you so vibrant. And that's what makes you magnetic, because there's a version of you that is secretive, yes, but there's also a version of you that is connected to secrets, but it's also connected to secrets in the most divine way. And because you are connected to that, you can read through people. This is the shadow walker, the dream walker, or the shadow, or moment of the shadows. I do relate to this with you if this is you. And if you are someone who is more so geared towards the lighter part of things, or if you're geared more towards, love and light and things like that, there's nothing wrong with that. But spirit is wanting you to understand that not everything is going to be all love and light. There has to be a balance. And the high priestess understands that there is a balance between all of it. Spirit is saying to you now that I don't only want you to embrace all love and light, butterflies and rainbows, when there's also crocodiles, snakes, and moths over here. These are all a part of my creations. And although they're misunderstood or they may be feared, it doesn't mean that they are anything to be feared. If anything, they are to be respected. You, divine feminine, are to be respected. And when you stop accepting things from people that you know that you do not want, they then learn how to serve you. They then learn how to be devoted to you. They will be devoted to you just by you saying no, just by you saying, this is not what I want. I do not want that, and I'm not going to accept it. This means it's one of those, when I'm getting a vibe, what is this? Oh, the Fool card. What I'm getting a vision of is like someone's like sitting at a table and they're being given all of these plates, and they're like, oh, do you want this? And do you want that? I'm here to serve you. Do you want this? And you're just like, nope, don't want it. And no one stopped to ask, okay, what is it that you desire? What is it that you want? What is it that you have a taste for? Let me know, and I'm here to serve you and give you that. This is the kind of energy that you're going to be running into when you start to embrace that shadow aspect of the divine feminine. And this has everything to do with the fact that you yourself may not have been given the things that you've been wanting. Maybe you were made to feel like the things that you wanted were too much, or that they were out of your league, or that you just weren't someone who was worthy of receiving that. And so you suppressed it and you kept it within you, thinking, right, growing up believing that you were not deserving or worthy of these things because people made, they may have had their thoughts and opinions about you, right? And I feel like with the Seven of Swords here, I feel like it's one of those things where you couldn't escape this if you wanted. And it's one of those things where the Seven of Swords points to things that go on behind the scenes. You try to get away with things, but it's also the card of evasion. I feel like it can definitely be the card of evasion and not dealing with things, trying to kind of let them go under the rug without dealing with them. But I do feel like those things will linger, and then they will leave prints. It's kind of like when a kid or like a child or someone goes into the cookie jar thinking that they're doing something all sneaky and whatnot, trying to get away with it. And then the mom or the dad goes in and says, who took the cookie from the cookie jar? And then no one knows who took the cookie from the cookie jar. And you're like, yes, you. Not me. Then who? I know you did it because you left crumbs. You left crumbs everywhere. And then your little fingerprints are all over it. What do you mean you didn't do it? And they're just like, but I didn't do it. Okay, maybe you didn't want to do it because you didn't want to get in trouble, but it was that thrill of getting what you wanted and you did. And now you're creating facades. You did this and it's okay that you did. You had a desire. It's all right. And then they think, oh, so it's not wrong that I wanted that. No, it's not wrong that you wanted it. Just let me know and I get it for you. Or if you want us to get it yourself, speak your truth. So that there in itself is like, where have you yourself not spoken your truth out of fear that you wouldn't get what you wanted, or that what you wanted was too taboo? What you wanted wasn't acceptable enough by society. That what you wanted was just, I don't know why the word is awkward, but what you wanted made people feel awkward. That's not your responsibility to make them comfortable when it comes to your feelings and desires. Also, there's something very sensual and very sexual coming through about this reading. I know that this is YouTube, and so I don't mean to be offensive to anyone. And if you are not an adult, then you do not need to be here. This is not your reading. This is not your channel. I'm not here to serve children. Respectfully, I'm here to work with adults. If I am to work with children, it will be in a completely different way. Not in this way. If you're a child, if you are not of the legal age, if you are not the age of majority, you do not need to be here, respectfully. So please go into another space. There's a very strong sexual energy here. And also this is sensuality and sexuality. The Queen of Wands points to sexuality. The Empress points to sensuality. The High Priestess embraces both. And so I feel like this is you. Oh my goodness, this is so amazing. I really do love this vibe here. And I feel like I think I'm going to write when it comes to this. I think I might save this reading and do a writing piece on it. Maybe an essay. I may or may not write and put it on Substack. I'm not sure yet. And I may even write a poem about it. As a matter of fact, I do have a poem about it. That's interesting. It's called Sex Magic. I don't think I'm going to read you the whole poem, but I am going to tease you a little bit. Where's my books at? Where my book at? Hang on one second, you guys. Let me see where my book is real quick, because I really want to read you something that I wrote. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Thank you so much for being so patient with me. Give me one moment. Let me look to see where this book is real quick. Okay. So I have it. I'm only going to read a little bit of it. Like I said, I'm not going to read the whole thing. Where is it? I'm looking in my, the hardcover, the hardcover. So we're in rituals here. Thank you guys for being so patient, by the way. Let's see. I know you guys can hear that. There's several poems that I can read that I have in here. Wow. I don't know why it's taking me so long to find it. Okay, I can't say that out loud. Not on YouTube. To summon a temporary lover. And then we have Sex Magic. Here we go. So here is the poem here. And let me see. Can you guys see that? I hope you guys can see that. I can't really tell because of the angle of the, maybe you guys can't see that. All right. So I'm going to read a little bit to you and then I'm going to let it go. All right. We've been placid and patiently waiting for precise planetary positions and alignments, for the perfect place and time to dive into the lucidity of our wildest dreams. The moon, bright and pregnant with our wishes, calls out to our seduced senses on a Venus night, and you're right where I want you. Listen, I know you find yourself aroused in mystery. I can feel your eyes follow my strut to my altar on the nights I work with catnip, hibiscus, and dried rose. I can feel it in my bones. You sizzle with curiosity when our gazes meet. You said it before. You're tired from the ordinary life of work and no play. You're always left feeling depleted and drained, feeling robbed of energy meant to fuel your passions and visions. You yearn for a miracle that will change the trajectory of your life. Well, here I am, poised, patiently planted with pretty panties peeking through my ankle length lavender laced robe, in the middle of my living room floor. My stillness calls your desires forth. Come to me. Follow my trail of cinnamon and cardamom beauty oil, baby, because I know you're ready to chain me to the wall. And I'm going to stop. Because it gets so much more sexual. So we gotta stop. It is YouTube. It's YouTube. So because I'm doing a reading, I'm gonna relax. Anyway, I am not sure if I'm going to be performing that, which I probably will one day, but I'll have to shorten it because this poem is long, honey. This poem is like 3 pages. So I'm not even going to attempt to remember all of that, but I will do my best to kind of maybe shorten it, or maybe I'll leave it. Who knows? Anyway, so yes, that's the vibe that I'm getting with this. And it's been a common theme here with me reading poetry and tarot, merging poetry and tarot, which I find to be interesting. And I also feel like it is so divine, and we're just going to go with that. So anyways, that poem came about, or not it came about, but what reminded me of that poem was because you have here the Queen of Wands, the High Priestess, and the Empress. It's where you combine these sensual, sexual, mysterious, magnetic, magical, and occult-like essences, ritual, ceremony to your sexual practice. So for whatever reason, I feel like Divine Feminine is exploring their sexuality. They were exploring their ability to dominate, but not even in a way of that is like aggressive. It's just simply owning their power and them becoming magnetic. And whatever you do behind the scenes, real quick, for those of you guys that don't know, I have a thing for kink, right? So I learned through kink and whatnot that there's a way that you can honor submission and honor surrender and still be in control in some instances, right? And I do feel like this is Divine Feminine understanding that it is through her softness, it is through her mystery, it is through her knowing that that's what makes her powerful. And I do feel like this is one of those things too, where you have to be honest about your power. You have to be honest about your ability to be aggressive, your ability to be not even just aggressive, but directive, assertive, destructive, and still choosing to domesticate yourself, not because someone is making you do it, but because you find power in doing so, and you allowing yourself to be the black cat, to be the mysterious one and hold that mystery, but not project it and needlessly use your power and waste it. This is you being very intentional with your fire, you being intentional with the partners you have, you being intentional with your sensuality, and you knowing that through sex magic, you can actually manifest and get what you want ultimately, right? As long as you are in accordance with or in alignment with the universe in a way that is wholesome, in a way that is for good. Because if you're doing something out of malice, then more than likely, from what I've seen and observed, is that if you are wanting to change, or if you are wanting to get out of that or whatever, when you start to really align, honestly, truly align, then you'll notice that things start to happen. Like you'll start to see yourself in ways that you did not think you were. Now, I know that some people may argue, okay, Nuna, but there's still people out here who are scheming, who are robbing and things of that nature, but they're getting away with it. It's fine. Like, I don't understand it, but we have to understand that, for one, these people may have such a strong knowing that it's their knowing and it's their ability to dominate, where people then start to kind of succumb to that, and then they just kind of roll over and be like, okay, well, fine. But also, I feel like these are also people who just simply in this life, they may be experiencing that, but it doesn't mean that the energy won't come back around. And it also does not mean that the energy will not even itself out. That's a topic for another discussion. I have to do more research on that. But what I have seen is that there are people who change their lives around, and then that's when things start to kind of happen to them because they're seeing it. But it's not until they detach from it that they start to understand, okay, this is what I did before, this is how I can change it. But that's not what this is about. This is just kind of me having a side conversation. So getting back to the point, so the fact that you do have here the Lovers card and the Hierophant, this definitely to me is, I just heard the word conjoining, and it's pointing me to ritual, and it's pointing me to the divine sending people your way who can help you to get these things in order. You may want to consider getting things solidified. You could be calling in a partner. You could be calling in someone that is here to stay for the long run. I do see here that Divine Feminine is wanting to be supported. Divine Feminine wants commitment. Divine Feminine wants the truth. Divine Feminine wants to explore. Divine Feminine wants freedom, but also Divine Feminine is ready to take the next leap in their life. If you are someone who has not yet embraced their divine feminine, their shadow divine feminine, where they assert their power and their will in the most divinely feminine way, then this is the journey that you're entering into. And you are going to learn a lot about the shadow divine feminine, about how to work with it. And if this is something that you guys want to hear me talk about and, express to you how I work with my own shadow divine feminine, please let me know, because I will more than happily do a video on that for you guys, explaining what it is, how I work with it, how I'm healing it, how I have healed several aspects of that divine feminine, and how I deal with things that do come up for me, especially because you do have the Nine of Swords here. For those of you that don't know this, I of course am a poet, I'm a writer, and I merge the arts of poetry and magic, and that is my own unique gift. Those are my unique gifts. I love storytelling, and I'm actually going to get into performing. And that's something that I'm currently manifesting to perform, whether it be I create my own stage or whether it be I start off at Poetry Mag Nights. Who knows? I'm not really sure yet. We'll see what the divine has. But I do feel like this is one of those things where divine feminine is embracing their mystery, embracing the unknown, embracing their sensuality, their sensuality, their sexuality. Divine feminine is simply embracing all that it is. And I also do feel that the choices, the decisions, the relationships, everything must reflect what the highest best is for divine feminine, without question. And it's one of those things where, again, you couldn't get away with this if you tried. Like, you couldn't avoid this if you tried. The Seven of Swords is also coming up as someone who, it's one of those things where you just kind of see it and you're just like, okay, I see what kind of time you're on. I'm not going to say anything, but I see it. And you just kind of move accordingly. Exactly. That's the vibe that I'm getting. So if you've been wondering if someone was doing something behind your back, more than likely. But I also think that I just heard that they're afraid of you. Even if you're not the aggressive type, or even if you're not the dominating type, I do see that for some of you, people may be afraid of you. They just don't know how to show it. They may project, or it's because you make them see themselves. This is the reading of the seer. This is a reading for those who are into magic, mysticism, of course, but they're also into play, fun, pleasure, sensuality, sexuality, all of those things. That's what I'm feeling for you. And we're already 32 minutes in. Oh my God, I didn't even know that. Okay. I had no idea that we were 32 minutes into this reading. Wow. That's wild. I've been talking for that long. Okay. Anyways, so we have here magic. Exactly. I know y'all saw that. Magic is here. You have moonlight enchantment. So you're working with the moon. So this definitely is connecting to the high priestess, the Queen of Wands energy. You're also connecting with nature, herbs. If I were going to work with anything herb wise, I would 100% be working with rose hips. I would be working with dragon's blood, roses. I would work with catnip. I would work with cardamom. I would work with all of those. This looks like love spell energy. I also would be working with hibiscus. I believe I said that in the last reading, but just take your pick or whatnot. I also do feel like I would be working with chicory. I would be working with, what is that called? Juniper berries. I would work with mugwort. All of these amazing divine feminine energies that I would be working with if I were you. Because I feel like you definitely are going to be working more so with the moon. I feel like the word is nocturnal. You may have been staying up a little bit later than normal, than usual. We are entering into the more, I like to call it the nocturnal season. That's when we get into fall, we get into winter and things like that. So those seasons are the darker seasons. I love fall. I love I love fall and I love winter, but I really especially love fall and I love spring, especially. Oh my goodness, those are like my two favorite. But anyway, that's just kind of me talking to you and things like that. Ace of Swords here is divine clarity, and I do feel like divine clarity is here. It's the truth, it's the undeniable truth, and it's the ultimate truth. And you seeing that truth and being in full acceptance of it. This is such an amazing aspect. The ones that you don't have here, you don't have the Queen of Swords, the Queen of Pentacles, or the Queen of Water, which is the Queen of Cups, which I do feel that those queens are actually within the Empress and also within the High Priestess. And I feel like you're definitely owning those energies. So the fact that you do have moonlight enchantment magic, I would highly recommend that you also work with the Witch's Brew charm oil. I will link that down in the comment section. Those are oils that you can work with. Transmutation. This is bringing me to sex magic for sure. Transmutation. Whenever you're transmuting something, you're making sure that you're taking the filthiest version of it, but then you're also turning it into something. You're using heat. You're using the power of heat, the power of fire in order to transform this thing into something favorable, or transmute it into something favorable for your path. So I do feel like there is chemistry. This is bringing me to fire. I'm seeing like potion making. I'm seeing lots of heat. Cinnamon. I would definitely be working with cinnamon right now as well. I just see you doing sex magic. Okay, you also have protection. I love that. That makes a lot of sense here. So this is one of those things where you are called to protect yourself while you're doing these type of workings and whatnot. I see this as like dominatrix low-key. Even though the Ace of Wands is not here, I see the Queen of Wands as the dominatrix in this aspect. I wonder if I should have just kind of left this one on the behind the scenes, but it's okay because we're all adults. You have wisdom here, which is the owl spirit. And last but not least, you have the wild rose fairy love. Exactly. We did mention love spell, right? We totally mentioned that for real. And I love that because I do feel like you're just owning yourself. You're owning your mystery. You're owning the darkness. You're owning the shadows, but you know that you're not bound by it. It is all an experience. I feel like with the owl spirit talking about nocturnal, exactly, nocturnal energy. Do you see how the cards just kind of play out? It's so wild. We have the owl spirit here. Owls are nocturnal, are they not? Hang on. I have to go chasing a card. Okay, and here we go. We have Angel of Expression. Speak your truth and express yourself clearly. This is coming. Has a direct relationship to the Ace of Swords here. And look at the nakedness of this card. I love that. You see that? It's so bold and expressive. And when you're naked, it's like you don't have to. It's when you're naked, you're showing the realness, you're being transparent about who you are. You're being transparent about your scars and where you've been wounded. But not only that, you're not allowing yourself to be bound by those wounds. You embrace them. You express your truth. This is what I've been through. This is what happened to me. This is why I won't accept this anymore. I will never accept that. Angel of Guidance. A renewed sense of direction and purpose will soon manifest. I love that. I feel like this is you being directed into the shadow aspect of you, but it's not anything for you to fear. You also have Angel of Joyfulness. Something wondrous and magical is about to happen. I feel like when you start to embrace this more divinely shadow aspect of yourself, divine feminine, that's when you'll start to see things change for the better, and you'll start to see that things start to actually fall into alignment for you. It's that part of you that's missing, that you may be rejecting, or that you may not be allowing yourself to sit with, that is causing blockages. And the last card that we have here is Angel of Addiction Healing. This is a time of positive transformation and healing. I just heard like the word nymph, and I know that, I don't know if should I say this on camera? You know what? I'll say it for the sake of this conversation. The word that came through was nymph, and I remember I had a relationship with someone, and they referred to me as a nymph, and I was like, wait, what do you mean? And they were just like, oh, I just feel like you're addicted to, I was like, no, like I'm not addicted to anything. I just enjoy it. But they didn't understand like how I was so, so sexually active. I'm like, well, of course, like, do you not know my energy? Like, I don't get it. Like, I mean, duh. I'm an intuitive, of course. Okay, anyway. So basically, I feel like, I mean, not all people who are intuitive are like that, but I feel like, yo, like, if you couldn't hang, just say that. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking about that because I feel like that's something that I can talk more about behind the scenes, and I just don't want this to get too X-rated. I'm laughing because I'm not used to saying things like this on like YouTube and on the camera. I'm so glad that I'm not face to face with y'all right now. Oh, I love you guys so much. For me to be saying this, I must be hella comfortable, and I must really love y'all because. Okay, so basically, moving on. Okay, moving on. Yes, so that was something that came through, but also if anyone that may be dealing with like, sexual frustrations and whatnot, I feel like now would be the time to say that because it's reminding me of that one movie. I think was it Temptation? It might have been Temptation, or it wasn't. No, what was that movie? I'll make sure to link the movie down, but she had like this actual like addiction, and she was like sick, I guess, like she always needed to have it. There's something about that's coming through, or there was something that happened to you, maybe like in your upbringing, or trigger warning. Something could have happened to you during your early development that happened, and it kind of made you like more intrigued, and it made you feel as though you needed more of that. I do feel like there's healing regarding the sexual body that's happening now, and you embracing your desires, and you knowing that it's okay for you to have these desires outside of trauma. And I feel like I may want to do a segment on that. I don't know if I'm going to do that on the podcast and leave it behind the scenes. I might, because I feel like I think it's just a little bit much for YouTube. I'm not really sure. I'll have to check with my guys. But anyway, I do feel like there is a lot of sexual healing happening for Divine Feminine, and embracing their wild side and allowing themselves to just simply be in love with themselves, and love with their sexuality, and love with their sensuality. And yeah, that's all that I have for you right now. I will also make sure to link anything else that you may need down below. I'm also sensing dominance vibes here. I would 100% recommend you work with that because it allows you to assert yourself and help you tap into that more dominant energy where you feel that you've been repressed. I would 100% be working with a mixture of the Divine Feminine along with Dominance oil. I would 100% work with that because those two are just dope. Also, Witch's Brew charm oil. Okay. I love you guys. If you need anything from me, please feel free to visit me online over at the SaiyonanPath.org. You can also follow along with me on Instagram over at the Saiyonan Path. If you would like, you can also follow along with me on Instagram over at Magic of Eden. Although I would prefer if you stay with the Saiyonan Path, make sure that you subscribe to me on Substack because I will be giving you guys more writings and updates and things of that nature. Make sure that you reserve a reading because I am open until the 30th of this month. Also, if you guys want to, you guys can reserve your essentials online as well as become a part of our private Saiyonan circle where you can gain access to readings and whatnot behind the scenes that I will not post on YouTube. And I feel like I will use this as an example reading because, of course. Anyways, I love you guys. Thank you for listening, and I will catch you in my next video.